Hello everyone, welcome back to this session of the Umeed NEET English 2025. So, today we are going to start with the another new chapter, that is our P block elements. Now, P block elements means a very big chapter, that is from group number 13 to group number 18. Yes, we are going to read all these groups, but after being a revision of a syllabus by NTA, many things are being deleted from here. Now over here in this lecture, we are going to study only about the group elements, that which element belongs to which group. The first thing. Second thing, we are going to talk about the physical properties of each and every group element. The third thing which we are going to talk about is the chemical properties of each and every group elements. And the fourth thing which we are talking about is going to be anomalous behavior of the first member of each group. That why they show a different behavior from their group members. Besides this, sometimes they can be asked, and as it is mentioned being in the syllabus also, the uses also. Otherwise now, we do not require to read about the different compounds and everything from this particular chapter. That all portion is being deleted from our P block elements. So now that big chapter has become a very short and small chapter over here. So let's fast study this particular chapter over here. So as I have told you that we are going to talk about all these groups, that is from group 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of the group B. So one by one we are going to discuss all the chapters over here. So let's come to the first chapter. The first chapter over here, the first group, the first group which we are going to talk about is the group 13. If I talk about the group 13 general electronic configuration over here for the group 13 element is Ns2Np1. Why? Because whatever the group 13 elements, they are going to have the valence electron in the P block. Whether it is a group 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that's why we are saying that they are the P block elements. And we have learnt in the periodic table how to find out the group and the valence electron. So basically the valence electron over here is going to be Ns2Np1. So 3 valence electron. Therefore the group oxidation state is going to be +3. And if I talk about other oxidation state, that is going to be +1. Coming to the group number 14, basically if I talk about the group 13 is my boron family. Coming to the next group, that is your group 14. Group 14 is my carbon family. So its valence electrons are Ns2Np2, means general electronic configuration I would say. Group oxidation state is going to be +4. Besides this, they are going to show you the +2 and -4 oxidation states also. Group number 15. Group number 15 means nitrogen family, and it is also called as the nicogens. So its electronic configuration is Ns2Np3, and it is the +5 oxidation state, the common oxidation state, and the other oxidation states which we can see is +3 or -3. Then the next group member is the group 16, which is called as the oxygen family, which is also called as the chalcogens, and general electronic configuration is Ns2Np4. +6 is oxidation state, and other oxidation states are going to be +4, +2, -2 over here. Then the next member, the next group is the 17, that is your halogen family, and they are basically called as the halogens, which is the most reactive. General electronic configuration is Ns2Np5 over here. So the common oxidation state is +7 of the group, and others can be +5, +3, +1, -1. The next group member is the group 18, which is your inert gas or noble gas family, or you can say the noble gases. So their general electronic configuration is NH2 NP6 plus 8, and they are what the general the other oxidation state can be plus 6 plus 4 plus 2, which is not the plus 8 oxidation state over here we have. So basically this was the brief idea about the group 13 to group number 18 over here. Okay, moving ahead, let's start with our first group, that is group number 13, which is a boron family. Basically over here in this lecture, it is not the lectures which we did in the previous classes, in the previous chapters. Over here I have picked up the few lines, few paras from the NCERT, and that only we are going to just read and explain over here, because we get a question from P block. The expectation of the question, or if I look after the deletion of the portion from the P block, if I look the trend, basically we get a question on the trends only, that what is the trend of the hydrides of this particular group with respect to the bond angle or thermal stability, or in the case of the acidic character we can see such type of the trends we get over here. Okay, so let's see. This group element show a wide variation in properties. Boron is a typical non-metal. Aluminium is a metal but shows many chemical similarities to boron, and gallium, indium, thallium are almost metallic in character. Now you know that when we move from top to bottom, metallic character increases, the electropositive character increases. Boron is fairly rare element, mainly occurs as orthoboric acid, borax and kernite. In India, borax occurs in Puga Valley, that is Ladakh, and Sambar Lake, that is Rajasthan. Okay. Now, the abundance of boron in Earth's crust is less than 0.0001% by mass. There are two isotopic forms of the boron, that is B10 and B11. Aluminium is the most abundant metal and the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust, that is 8.3% by mass, and that is after oxygen and silicon. Bauxite and cryolite are the important minerals of aluminium. In India, as mica, it is found in Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Odisha, Jammu. Gallium, indium and thallium are less abundant elements in nature. Now, the first comes the atomic properties. In that we are going to cover the electronic configuration. The outer electronic configuration of these elements is Ns2Np1. A close look at the electronic configuration suggests that while boron and aluminium have noble gas core, gallium and indium have noble gas plus d electrons, and thallium has noble gas plus 14 f electrons plus 10 d electrons over here. So thus the electronic structure of these elements are more complex than the first two groups of the elements. Okay, so this difference in electronic structure affects other properties and consequently the chemistry of the elements of this particular group. If I talk about boron, boron at the top of the group is what, very small in size. Why? Because its atomic number is less. But when we are moving top to bottom down the group, the atomic number is increasing. So what is happening when you are moving from top to bottom? There is an increment in a principal shell. That's why when you are moving from top to bottom, there will be the d electrons also and f electrons also, which makes the bit complexity in the given element. Next is atomic radii. So as I told you that when you are moving from top to bottom, there is increase in atomic number. Now increase in atomic number means that there is increase in the principal shell. Now when there is increase in the principal shell, the size from top to bottom is going to increase over here. Okay. Now over here the important point is this, that if I compare the atomic radii of gallium, it is less than aluminum. Why it is so? Why? Because of the inner core of the electronic configuration. That is, if I talk about the gallium, there is the presence of the additional 10d electrons, which provides a poor screening effect for the outer electrons from the increased nuclear charge in gallium. So that is the reason in the case of the gallium and aluminum, we find out the difference in the your atomic radii. Now look what happens, that we have studied in the previous chapters that there is a shielding effect. Okay, and we have done this thing that the best shielding effect is given by the S, and it goes on decreasing from S to P, D, and least in the case of the F. Now in the case of the your gallium, we have the 3d 10 electrons of the gallium, which is going to provide a less shielding effect to the 4s2 4p1 electrons of the gallium. But in the case of the aluminum, we do not have the your electrons in the d orbital, but we have the 3s to 3p1. Now being a S, it is going to have a more good shielding effect. So that's why the size of the aluminum is bigger as compared to the gallium. Okay, so this is the important point over here and the point to remember. Next is ionization energy. Now when we are talking about the ionization energy, basically ionization energy refers to what? It is the energy required to remove an electron from the outermost valence, outermost, or you can say the valence shell. Now basically the outermost or the valence shell, when we are talking about, it should be in the isolated form. Okay. Now over here, ionization enthalpy is expected from general trend. Do not what is happening? Do not decrease. Okay, smoothly down the group. The decrease from boron to aluminum is associated with the increase in size. The observed discontinuity in the ionization enthalpy values between aluminum and gallium and between indium and thallium, it is due to inability of D and F electrons, okay, which have low screening effect to compensate the increased nuclear charge. You know that when you are moving top to bottom, the atomic number is increasing. It means your nuclear charge is increasing, the positive charge is increasing, isn't it? Now, when atomic number is increasing, of course, the electronic configuration, the electrons are going to enter in a d orbital also and f orbital also. And we have just studied this thing in the previous lectures also, that the screening effect of the d and f is very poor. So, because of that, in the case of the aluminum and gallium, if I talk about the d electrons poor shielding effect, in the case of indium and thallium, the poor shielding effect of d and f both, or I would say the f over here. So that is the reason over here that we do not have a proper trend in this particular case. Now the order of the ionization enthalpies as expected over here should be what? That first, second and third in the increasing order, and the sum of the first three ionization enthalpy for each element is very high. So effect of this is apparent when we study their chemical properties. Electronegativity. Electronegativity is what? It is the property of any element to attract the shared pair of electrons. Now, electronegativity down the group, it is going to first decrease from boron to aluminum, and then it is going to increase marginally. Why? Because of the discrepancies in atomic size of these elements, which we have seen because of the poor shielding effect of the D and F electrons. Basically everything is related to the D and F over here. Now coming to the physical properties, boron is non-metallic in the nature. It is extremely hard and black colored solid. It exists in many allotropic forms. Due to very strong crystalline lattice, boron has usually high melting point. Rest of the members are soft metals with low melting point and high electrical conductivity, because we know that top to bottom metallic character is increasing. It is worthwhile to note that gallium with unusual low melting point could exist in liquid state during summer. Its higher boiling point makes it useful for measuring high temperatures. The density of elements increases down the group. Why? Because you know that density is what? It is mass upon volume. So, it increases down the group. Inert pair effect. The maximum oxidation state shown by p block elements is equal to the total number of valence electron. In boron, carbon, nitrogen families, the group oxidation state is the most stable state for the lighter elements in the group. However, the oxidation state, now remember, the oxidation state 2 unit less then group oxidation state becomes progressively more stable for heavier elements in each group. The occurrence of oxidation state 2 unit less than the group oxidation state are sometimes attributed to the inert pair effect. Now, what is the inert pair effect? We should know. The inert pair effect means reluctance of s electrons to participate in bonding. Okay. Now look, all these things we have already done in the previous lecture, but still just recapping the few points. Inert pair effect is what? That what we say, that whatever the electrons which are present in the valence shell, they are responsible for participation in the bonding, isn't it? But like if I talk about the s orbital have the 2 electrons. Now when the 2 electrons fulfillment is being done, why s electrons going to participate over here? So, this reluctance of s electrons to participate in making a bond, doing a reaction is called as the inert pair effect. So, that's why what happens, that the group oxidation state in the light elements, they are stable. But when we are coming towards the heavier elements, the group oxidation state -2 is going to be stable over there. Now, coming to the chemical properties, oxidation state and trends in chemical reactivity. Okay, so due to small size of boron, you know that it is the first member, so its size is going to be small, and if I talk about atomic number, it's only going to be what, 5, so 2, 3 sizes is small. So, the sum of its first 3 ionization enthalpies is very high. Why? Because the electrons are going to be near to the nucleus, so I require to apply a lot of energy to remove the electrons from there. So, this prevents it for forming +3 ions and forces it to form only covalent bond. That is covalent compounds. But as we move from boron to aluminum, the sum of the first 3 ionization enthalpies of aluminum considerably decreases, as therefore they are able to form the ions. That's why it easily releases its electron. In trivalent state, 3+ state, the number of electrons around the central atom in a molecule of the compounds of these elements like BF3 will be only 6. Such electrons deficient molecule have tendency to accept a pair of electrons to achieve a stable electronic configuration, and therefore they behave as a Lewis acid because they are able to accept the electrons. Like if I am going to make a BF3, I am having, and I am having the NH3. So these lone pairs are going to donate to BF3. So because it is accepting the electrons, it is going to called as a Lewis acid. The tendency to behave as a Lewis acid decreases with the increase in size down the group. Now, BCl3 easily accepts a lone pair of electron to form the from ammonia to form the BCl3. Like I have taken the example of the BF3, they have given you the example of the BCl3. ElCl3 achieve a stability by forming a dimer. Remember one thing, that your AlCl3 is always going to be present as in a dimeric form, that is your Al2Cl6. Now how? In trivalent state, most of the compounds being covalent are hydrolyzed in water. For example, the trichlorides on hydrolysis in water form tetrahedral species. The hybridization state of element M is sp3 hybridized. Ammonium chloride is acidified aqueous solution, forms octahedral ion. In this complex ion, the 3d electrons of aluminum are involved and the hybridization state of aluminum is sp3d2. Okay. Reactivity towards air. Boron is unreactive in crystalline form. Aluminum forms a very thin oxide layer on the surface which protects the metal from the further attack, and amorphous boron and aluminum metal on heating in air form the oxides respectively. With dinitrogen at high temperature, they form the nitrides. Like if you are going to take a boron or aluminum and heat it in the presence of the oxygen, it is going to form a aluminum oxide, boron oxide. When you are going to react it with the in a nitrogen environment, it is going to form the nitride over here. Nature of these oxides varies down the group. Boron trioxide, it is acidic in the nature. Reacts with basic metallic oxides forming metabolites. Aluminum and gallium, they are going to be amphoteric, and indium thallium, they are going to be basic in their properties. Although we have learned one trick also to remember all the oxides, acidic, basic, neutral, amphoteric, in our periodic table chapter. So you can refer over there. Reactivity towards acids and alkalis. Aluminum dissolves in dilute HCl and liberate the dihydrogen. However, because we have done that aluminum is what? It is amphoteric. So concentrated nitric acid renders aluminum passive by forming a protective layer on the surface. Aqueous alkali and liberates dihydrogen, so it is going to dissolve react in the aqueous NaOH also. Reactivity towards halogen. These elements react with halogens to form the trihalides except TLI3. Okay, now why TLI3 is not going to form over here? Look, in this particular case, what happens that you know that when you are moving top to bottom, the size is increasing. So, thallium size is very big. At the same time, in the case of halogen family, when you are moving from top to bottom, again the size is increasing. So, your iodine size is very big. So, one big size of the thallium cannot be able to accommodate the three big size iodines. That's why it is not going to form. Now when we are going to burn with the air, it is forming with the oxide, with water. In the cold condition or hot condition, boron is not giving any reaction and aluminum is giving only when it is being done red hot. Gallium and indium are attacked neither by cold water nor by hot water unless oxygen is present. Thallium form an oxide on surface. Okay. Now boron reacts with NaOH also. Boron reacts with nitrogen. Then boron do not show any reaction with the dilute HCl or dilute H2SO4. But with the H2SO4, that is concentrated form, it is going to show a reaction. In the case of aluminum and HNO3, it forms a Al2O3, which is a passive layer but do not react further because it acts as a protective layer in this particular case. So it do not allow the further attack on the aluminum over there. Okay. Moving ahead, next is anomalous properties of the boron. We have learned that boron, being the top member of the family, that is your boron family, is very small in the size. Now because being small in a size, it have certain behaviors which are different from its family members. Okay, so the trichlorides, bromides and iodides of all these elements, being covalent in nature, are hydrolyzed in water. Species like tetrahedral and octahedral, except in boron, exist in aqueous medium. The monomeric trihalides, being electron deficient, are strong Lewis acid. Boron trifluoride easily reacts with Lewis bases such as ammonia to complete octet around boron. So this is how they make it. It is due to the absence of d orbitals that the maximum covalence of boron is 4. Since the d orbitals are available with aluminum and other elements, the maximum covalence can be beyond the 4, and this is the reason that when we are forming up halides, in the case of the halides, the aluminum is present as a dimer. It exists as the dimer. Okay. Because you know, in the case of the boron, electronic configuration is what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. In the second shell, we do not have the d orbital. But if I talk about the aluminum, what is going to be? It is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p1, and in the third shell onwards, I have the d electrons, d orbital present. Now, let's come to the group number 14, that is your carbon family. So, carbon family members are what? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead, which are the members of this group 14. So, carbon is the 17th most abundant element by mass in the Earth's crust. It is widely distributed in nature in free as well as in the combined state. In elemental state is available as the coal, graphite and diamond. However, in combined state it is present as the metal, carbonates, hydrocarbons and carbon dioxide gas in air. So, silicon is the second most abundant element on the earth crust and present in the nature in the form of the silica and silicates. So, first coming to the electronic configuration, the common electronic configuration of the group is NH2NP2. The inner core of electronic configuration of this particular group is also going to be differ, as we have seen in the case of the boron. Covalent radius, there is considerable increase in covalent radius from carbon to silicon. Therefore, silicon to lead, a small increase in radius is observed. The first ionization enthalpy of group 14 members is higher than corresponding members of the group 13. The influence of the inner core electrons is visible here also. In general, the ionization enthalpy decreases down the group. A small decrease in ionization energy from silicon to germanium to tin and slight increase from tin to lead is consequence of a poor shielding effect. Why? Because again we have a d electrons and the f electrons. Okay. Electronegativity, due to small size, the elements of these groups are slightly more electronegative. You know that when you are moving from left to right, what is happening? From left to right, your size is decreasing. Why? Because the electrons are entering in the same principal shell over here. So, the electronegativity values for the elements from silicon to lead are almost the same. Physical properties, all the group 14 members are solid. Carbon and silicon are non-metals. Germanium is a metalloid, whereas tin and lead are soft metals. Basically, all these things we have done, that who is the metal, non-metal or metallite in a periodic table. Okay, with low melting point. Melting points and boiling points of this are much higher than those of corresponding element of the group 13. Oxidation state and trends over here. The group 14 elements have 4 electrons in the outermost shell. We have seen NH2, NP2. So basically the common oxidation state exhibited by these elements are +4 and +2. In heavier members, the tendency to show the +2 oxidation state increases down the group, and that is also due to inability of NS2 electrons to participate in bonding, which we named as the inert pair effect. I told you that the reluctance of the s orbitals to participate in the bonding. Germanium forms stable compounds in +4 state and only few compounds in the +2 state. So, tin forms compounds in both oxidation state, that is +2 is going to be reducing agent. Lead compound in +2 state are stable and in +4 state are oxidizing agent. Actually, these two lines are important and we are supposed to remember them. Next, reaction with oxygen. When they are going to react with the oxygen, they form a dioxide, like we have a silicon dioxide, carbon dioxide, and these three over here, they are acidic in the nature. These oxides are acidic in the nature, whereas the tin and lead, they are amphoteric in the nature. Among monooxides, carbon monoxide is neutral and germanium monoxide is acidic, whereas tin and lead are going to be amphoteric in the nature. Reaction with water. Carbon, silicon, germanium, they are not affected by water. Tin decomposes by steam to form dioxide and dihydrogen. Okay. Lead is unaffected by water because of the protective layer of the film formation, like we have seen in the case of the aluminum also. Reaction with halogen, basically they form the covalent in nature halides, and mainly they form the tetrahalides, which are covalent. So there is an exception of SnF4 and PbF4, which are ionic in nature, and PBI is not going to exist. Heavier members, germanium to lead, are able to make the halides of the formula MX2. Okay, means dihalides. Stability of dihalides increases down the group. So, except CCl4, other tetrachlorides are easily hydrolyzed by water because of the size, and most of the tetrahalides are colorless with the exception of the germanium and tin, which are colored in the nature. Moving ahead, next is hydrolysis of their halides. Hydrolysis can be understood with their example of the your silicon tetrahalide, that is your silicon tetrachloride. It undergoes hydrolysis by initially accepting the lone pair of the electrons from water. You know that on oxygen we have the lone pair of the electrons. So, in d orbital of silicon. Finally, leading to the formation of silicon hydroxide. So, it gives there is a formation of a salicylic acid. Okay. So, if you look, there is the presence of the lone pair of the electrons. So, lone pair are going to donate it to the silicon d orbital. So, what is going to happen? There will be the minus, means HCl is going to deduct from here. So, now if I look how many Cl I am having basically 1, 2, 3, 4 Cl. So, all the Cls are going to eliminate over here and I am going to have the formation of the salicylic acid. If I look the anomalous behavior of carbon, of course being a first member, its size is going to be very small among the group members. So, due to its small size, its electronegativity is going to be higher as well as its ionization enthalpy is going to be higher. Besides this, there won't be the presence of the d orbital, because you know that electronic configuration, if you look of the carbon, there won't be any electron in the d orbital is not in the second shell. So, therefore, there is the absence of the d orbital. In carbon, only s and p orbitals are available for the bonding. Therefore, it can accommodate only 4 pairs of the electrons around it. So, this would limit the maximum covalence to the 4. Whereas, in the other members, there is the presence of the d orbital. So, they can expand beyond the 4. So, they can have because of the presence of the d orbital, there can be the expanded covalence in the other members cases. Now, carbon. Particularly carbon, besides these reasons, why do it shows the other behaviors? The very first thing is what? In the case of the carbon, it have a unique ability to form a p-pi multiple bonds. We know that carbon can make a p-pi multiple bonds with itself and with other atoms also of the small size and high electronegativity. Isn't it? Like if you look, we have the carbon-carbon double bond, single bond, triple bond, then with the oxygen double bond, with the sulfur double bond, with the nitrogen triple bond. Heavier elements do not form p-pi bonds. Why? Because their atomic orbitals are very large in the nature. So, they diffuse to have the effective overlapping. Now, carbon atoms have the tendency to link with one another through the covalent bonds, because we know that it is having the 4 electrons in its outer shell over there to form the chains and rings. Down the group, as you are moving, the size is going to increase and your electronegativity is going to decrease. So, tendency to show the catenation also decreases. The order of catenation over here is what? Carbon, silicon, germanium, and germanium and tin is going to be here almost same. In the case of the lead, it does not show the catenation property because the size is going to be very big. Allotropes of carbon. Carbon can exist in the 2 allotropic form, that is your crystalline and amorphous, in which we have the coal, we have the fullerene and the diamond, that is your carbon. Then we have the diamond, and fullerene. So, these 3 forms we have. Now, moving ahead towards the next group member, that is your group 15. I hope that you are not feeling bored over here. Basically, the trends only we have to learn from this particular chapter, and from trends only you are going to get a questions also. So, a very crux of the P block, the complete P block chapter I have brought over here. Okay. So, the elements of group 15 are what? Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic over here. So, nitrogen and phosphorus, they are non-metal. Then we have metallite, and bismuth is metal. So these elements are known as nicogens. Why they are known as nicogens? Because they cause a choking effect. So that's why they are called as a nicogens. Now if you look, their electronic configuration is NH2 NP3, which is half filled, and being half filled it is stable. Basically your p orbital can have the 6 electrons. Now over here, instead of the 6 electrons, it is having the 3 electrons which are half filled. So that's why it is a stable configuration. Extra stability it's going to provide. Now these tables, we do not require to learn the figures over here on these tables, but on the basis of this table we get a question in our exam. Now if you look over here, atomic number, we all are very clear, atomic mass, electronic configuration, ionization energy, if I am look. Okay, so if you look, the first ionization energy is decreasing as you are moving top to bottom. And if I look my second ionization energy over here, it is decreasing, but coming to the bismuth, it slightly increases. Then third ionization energy is decreasing. Electronegativity, nitrogen is electronegative in the nature, then electronegativity is decreasing and then almost same. Then covalent radius, ionic radius we have. Now look, covalent and ionic radius, radii increases down the group. There is considerable increase in covalent radius from nitrogen to phosphorus. However, in the case of the arsenic and bismuth, only a small increase in covalent radius is observed, and it is due to the presence of the completely filled d or f orbitals in a higher members. Ionization enthalpy, it decreases down the group due to gradual increase in the atomic size. Due to the extra stability of the half-filled p orbitals, electronic configuration and the small size, the ionization enthalpy of the group 15 is much more greater than that of group 14 elements. Look, in the case of the group 14, if I talk about, what was the condition? It was a NH2 NP2, and over here I am having NH2 NP3. So being half filled, it is more stable. So when I am going to remove the electron from here, it is going to move in a condition of the instability. So why it is going to lose its stability? So that's why it is going to be big higher. The order of successive ionization enthalpies over here is in the increasing order towards the third ionization energy. Electronegativity. The electronegativity value in general decreases down the group with increasing atomic size. However, the heavier elements, the difference is not much over here. Physical properties, all the elements of this groups are polyatomic. Like if you remember over here, what we have the polyatomic forms. But like if I talk about phosphorus, it is P4. Dinitrogen, that is N2, is diatomic over here, and that is a gas, rest all are the solids. Metallic character is going to increase down the group because the size is increasing. There is a decrease in the ionization energy. So there will be the increase in atomic size, which I have told you. The boiling points in general increase from top to bottom in the group, but the melting point increases up to arsenic and decrease up to bismuth. Except nitrogen, all the elements show allotropy. Phosphorus has various types of allotropes, like it is having a white, red and black. Oxidation state, the common oxidation state of these elements are -3 + 3 + 5. the tendency to exist the -3 oxidation state, it decreases down the group. Now why it is going to decrease down the group? Because when you are moving down the group, the metallic character is increasing, the electropositive character is increasing. So when the electropositive character is increasing, the -3 oxidation state is not going to be stable. The stability of +5 oxidation state decreases, that of +3 oxidation state increases, and that is due to the inert pair effect down the group. The only characterized Bi5 compound, that is BiF5 over here. Okay, so inert pair effect we have already discussed. Nitrogen exhibits +1, +2, +4 oxidation state also when it reacts with oxygen. Phosphorus +1, +4 oxidation state in some oxoacids. In case of nitrogen, all oxidation states from +1 to +4 tend to show the disproportionation in acid solution. Means the same compound, the same element undergoes a oxidation also and reduction also. That means disproportionation. We have done this particular part in the redox reactions. In case of phosphorus also, nearly all intermediate oxidation states disproportionate into +5 and -3, both in alkali and acids. However, +3 oxidation state in case of arsenic, antimony and bismuth becomes increasingly stable with respect to disproportionation. Covalency. Nitrogen is restricted to covalency of 4, since only 4 orbitals are available for bonding. The heavier elements have the vacant d orbital in the outermost shell, which can be used for bonding, hence expand their covalence in the PF6. Reactivity. All the elements of group 15 form the compounds with hydrogen of the all types of hydrides are colorless, poisonous gases. The poisonous nature increases from ammonia to bismuth. Okay. Properties of hydrides. Now this particular table is important, but yes, again we do not require to remember these values over here. The important thing over here for us is what? The trend of the why color is not coming? Yes. The important trend over here is the order of boiling point of the this group number 15. Now look, first you are having the phosphine, then arsine, then ammonia is coming over here, then the hydride of the antimony is coming over here. Now why it is the trend over here, we are able to see over here because of the bonding. Similarly, this increased melting point, if I talk about in the case of ammonia, it is also because of the hydrogen bonding. Okay. The order of the basic nature of the hydrides. Now over here, the next question, look, whatever we did over here, the most common questions are going to be these only, which we are going to get. The order of basic nature is what? That when we are moving top to bottom, basic nature is decreasing. Why it is decreasing? Because when we are moving top to bottom, what is happening over here in this particular case? The size of central metal atom is increasing. We know top to bottom size increases, isn't it? So when the size is increasing, what is happening? The availability of lone pair of electrons, the availability of a lone pair electrons is going to be decreased. So that's why we are able to look this particular nature. Coming to the reducing nature. Now look, when you are moving top to bottom, the reducing nature is increasing. Now why it is increasing? Again the same concept over here. When you are moving top to bottom, the size is increasing. When the size is increasing, what is happening? The size of the hydrogen is going to be small only. So basically there is the weakening of metal hydrogen bond. So that's why we are able to look this particular trend. Okay. Moving ahead, next is the chemical properties. So first is reactivity towards oxygen. All these elements form the two types of the oxides, that is your trioxide and the pentaoxide. Now, the oxides in the higher oxidation state of the element is more acidic than that of lower oxidation state. Their acidic character decreases down the group. The oxides of the trioxides of nitrogen and phosphorus are purely acidic, and arsenic and antimony are amphoteric in the nature. Bismuth is going to be predominantly basic in the nature. These elements react to form two series of the halides, that is your trihalide and a pentahalide. So nitrogen does not form the pentahalide. Why it cannot form the pentahalide? Pentahalide means 5 halogens are going to come over there, but we know that nitrogen do not have the d orbital in it, so it cannot form the pentahalides. Pentahalides are more covalent as compared to trihalides. Trihalides except the BiF3 are covalent in the nature. All the trihalides of these elements except those of nitrogen are stable. In case of nitrogen, only NF3 is known to be stable over here. Okay. Now reactivity towards metals. All these elements react with metals to form their binary compounds exhibiting -3 oxidation state, such as calcium nitride, calcium phosphide, magnesium bismuthide, sodium arsenide, zinc antimonide. Now, the reasons for the anomalous behavior. Small size of nitrogen, because of which you are going to have the high electronegativity, high ionization enthalpy and non-availability of the d orbitals. Now nitrogen has unique ability to form the p-pi multiple bond with itself and with other elements of having a smaller size like the carbon, oxygen. Heavier elements do not form the p-pi bond as their atomic orbitals are large and they diffuse and they cannot have the effective overlapping. Nitrogen is going to exist as a diatomic molecule with a triple bond in which you have 1 sigma and the 2 pi bonds. Bond enthalpy is very high because you require a lot of energy to break down the 3 bonds over here. If I compare with phosphorus, arsenic and antimony, they form the single bonds, that is the PP, AS, AS, SB, SB, while bismuth metallic bond is elemental in state. The single NN bond is going to be weaker as compared to single PP bond. Why? Because of high inter-electronic repulsion. The size of the nitrogen is very small, isn't it? And it have a lone pair also over here. So because of the non-bonding electrons, it is going to have the small bond length. Because of the small bond length, what is going to happen? The bond is going to be weaker over here. Another factor which affects the nitrogen is what? That is the absence of the d orbitals in its valence shell. So besides restricting its covalency to 4, nitrogen cannot form the d pi p pi bond like the heavier elements because there is no d orbital, whereas phosphorus and arsenic can form the d pi bond with the transition metals when their compounds form and they act as a ligands. Now moving ahead, the next group member is the group 16. Group 16 is called as your oxygen family. So oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium are the elements of the 16th group of the periodic table. This is sometimes known as chalcogens, and the name is derived from the Greek word for brass and the association of sulfur and its congeners with copper. Their general electronic configuration is Ns2Np4. So oxygen and sulfur are what? They are non-metals. Selenium and tellurium are what? They are metalloids, whereas polonium is a metal. Polonium is a radioactive in nature and its short-lived is around 13.8 days. So again over here we have a table over here, and we do not require to learn the values over here, just we have to refer them. Now due to increase in the number of shells, atomic and ionic radii increases from top to bottom of the group, and the size of the oxygen atom is exceptionally very small. Ionization enthalpy is going to decrease down the group. Why? Because when you are moving top to bottom, the size is increasing over here. So the elements of this groups have a lower ionization enthalpy values as compared to the group 15. Another reason over here is what? That in the case of the group 15, you was having Ns2, Np3. But over here in the group 16, you are having a Ns2, Np4. So if it is going to lose its one electron, it is going to enter into a stable configuration. So it will say readily I will lose my electron. So that's why it is going to be less having a less ionization energy. Their electron gain enthalpy, the compact nature of oxygen atom has a less negative electron gain enthalpy from than the sulfur. Sulfur offers the value becomes less negative up to the polonium. Electronegativity, next to fluorine, oxygen has the highest electronegativity value. Means if I talk about oxygen is the second most electronegative element in the nature. So electronegativity decreases with increase in atomic number. Okay, so it means metallic character is going to increase from oxygen to polonium. Catenation displayed by sulfur, you know that sulfur is present as the S8, which is very important as the biological in the biological system. Physical properties, the melting and boiling point increases with an increase in atomic number down the group. The large difference between the melting and boiling point of oxygen and sulfur is explained on the basis of their atomicity, that is O2S8. Oxygen exists as a O2 whereas sulfur exists as a S8. All these elements exhibits allotrope, like in the case of sulfur we have the rhombic, we have the monoclinic, we have the triclinic over here. Okay, and oxygen occurs with two metallic forms, that is your O2 and ozone. Then selenium has a 6 allotropic forms and 3 forms are red non-metal, 1 amorphous red and 2 grey metallic forms over here are present. Chemical properties. Elements of group 16 exhibit a number of oxidation state. The stability of -2 oxidation state decreases down the group. So polonium hardly shows -2 oxidation state. Since electronegativity of oxygen is very high, it shows only negative oxidation state. So -2 except in the case of the OF2. Now remember one thing, oxygen, because its electronegativity value is very high, so its oxidation state is always going to be -2. But if your oxygen is going to make a bond with the fluorine, then its oxidation state is going to be positive. The reason behind is what? Because fluorine is more electronegative as compared to the oxygen. So now the case is going to be reversed. The fluorine is going to have the negative oxidation state and oxygen is going to have the positive oxidation state. Other elements of the group members are going to have the +2, +4, +6 oxidation state, but +4 +6 are more common. Sulfur, selenium, tellurium shows the +4 oxidation state in their compounds with oxygen, +6 with the fluorine, and the stability of +6 oxidation state decreases down the group. Stability of +4 oxidation state increases due to the inert pair effect over here, and +4 +6 are covalent. Now again, this table is important, and of course we do not require to learn the values over here, but we should know the trends over here. Okay, so these trends are important for us for solving our questions over here in this particular. So let's see the question which we can get from our group 16. That is your important and point to remember. Now first is order of bond angle. Now when we are talking about the order of bond angle, basically it is going to decrease down the group. Now why it is going to decrease down the group? Because there is the decrease in the bond pair. Okay, though what is going to happen? There will be the decrease in the bond pair repulsion. So that's why when you are moving down the group, the bond angle is going to decrease. Basically what happens, like you know that if I talk about the oxygen, okay, now these lone pair are going to have the repulsion over here. Now when these lone pairs are going to have the repulsion, what is going to happen? It is going to decrease. Now when I am moving top to bottom, my size is also increasing over there, and I am having the bond pair also repulsion is over there going to work. Okay. Next, order of melting and boiling point. Now when I am going to talk about the order of the melting point and the boiling point in the case of the oxygen family, what it is going to be happen over here, that it is going to increase with molecular weight. With exception of water. Okay, why? Because you know that it is able to make a hydrogen bond. Coming to the next one, order of acidic character. Now remember one thing, that when we are talking about the order of the acidic character over here, that when we are moving over here from H2O, that is from oxygen, sulfur, your that further, so what is going to happen in this particular case? If you look, then in this particular case, basically you know that over here in the case of acidic character, it is going to increase. Why? Because there is the increase in the bond length. So when you are moving top to bottom in a group, increases down the group. Why? Because bond length increases. Next is order of thermal stability. Now when we are talking about the order of thermal stability, from top to bottom it is going to decrease over here, means H2O, then H2S, and why you are going to have this order? Because of the size of the central metal atom is going to increase. Size of central atom, not metal atom, central atom is going to increase. Order of reducing nature, if I talk about from top to bottom, it is going to increase, and this is because the fact that the bond dissociation energy is going to decrease. Okay, so these are the important trends. Then coming to the chemical properties, so all these elements form oxides of the dioxide and the trioxide type. Sulfur dioxide are gases, selenium dioxide is going to be solid. Reducing property of the dioxide decreases from sulfur dioxide to the tellurium dioxide, and the oxidation property increases from sulfur dioxide to the tellurium. This is important trend and point to remember. The things which I am marking over here, important trend, from there only you are going to get a question basically. Both dioxides and trioxides are acidic in the nature. Trioxides act only as oxidizing agent. They are only act as a oxidizing agent. Oxidizing power of trioxides show increase from SO3 to SCO3, but SO3 act as a strong oxidizing agent in acid medium, because due to protonation SO bond becomes weak over here. Okay. Next, reactivity of halogens. So basically they are going to form a EX6 type, EX4 type and EX2. Now the stability of the halides, this is important again, decreases in the order fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Among hexahalides, hexafluoride are only the stable halides. All hexahalides are gaseous in nature. They have octahedral structure, that is having the sp3d2 hybridization. Sulfur hexafluoride is exceptionally stable for the steric reasons. Okay. Among the tetrafluorides, SF4 is gas, SeF4 is liquid and tellurium tetrafluoride is solid. These fluorides have sp3d hybridization and thus have trigonal bipyramidal structure in which one of the equatorial position is occupied by a lone pair of electrons. We have done in the chemical bonding and molecular structure chapter that whenever we are going to place a lone pair of the electrons and the elements, we are going to place them in a manner that there should be a minimum repulsion. Okay, so they form a seesaw structure. All the elements except oxygen form dichlorides and dibromides. These dihalides are formed by sp3 hybridization and thus have a tetrahedral geometry. The well-known monohalide are dimeric in nature. For example, sulfur, selenium. These dimeric halides undergo disproportionation reaction. Anomalous behavior of oxygen. So as you know that it is the first element, so having a small size, high electronegativity is one of the reasons. So small size, high electronegativity, there is the presence of the strong hydrogen bonding in the H2O as compared to the H2S, which we have seen in our trend also. Then first member, so it is not going to have the d orbital, so its covalency is going to be limited to the 4 over here. In other case, it is going to be expanded covalency. A binary oxides of oxygen with another element is called as oxide. Basically, they form a simple oxide and a mixed oxide. Simple oxides are classified as a acidic oxide. So, the covalent oxide of non-metals are acidic. They are termed as acidic anhydride. Basic oxides, metal oxides, ionic oxides, oxides of alkali and alkaline earth metals, covalent oxides, oxides of the transition metals are covalent in nature. Just refer the examples. Amphoteric means metals yield oxides which combine with both strong acids and as well as strong bases. Neutral, which do not combine with an acid or a base. mixed, which formed by the combination of the two simple oxides. Now for this, which type of oxide, I have given a trick also in the periodic table. Follow that. Your all answer questions will be answered by that trick. Coming to the second last group, that is your group number 17. So it's fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine and tennessine are the members of group 17. They are called as the halogens. Halo means salt and gens means bond. So basically they are the producers of the salt. So general configuration is NH2, NP5. Halogens are highly reactive non-metals. Tennessine is synthetic radioactive element. Okay, and half-life is just milliseconds only. So this is the table for reference only. Then densities of the halogens increases from fluorine to iodine, because you know density is mass upon volume. So when you are going to increase the atomic mass, your density is going to increase from fluorine to iodine. Now atomic and ionic radius. So over here, due to increase in the number of the shells, atomic and ionic radius increases from top to bottom. Over here, ionization enthalpy is going to decrease from top to bottom because the size is increasing over here. So they have the high ionization enthalpy due to smallest size in a period. Electron gain enthalpy. Halogens have the maximum electron gain enthalpy. Reason behind, because they require only the one electron to fulfill their configuration. So it becomes less negative top to bottom. The negative enthalpy of fluorine is less than that of the chlorine. This point is very important because they ask a question in the case of the oxygen family also. Oxygen is going to have the least in its family, and over here in the case of the halogen family also, fluorine is going to be less than chlorine because of the size. Then electronegativity, they have high electronegativity due to their small size along their respective periods. So within the group, electronegativity decreases with increase in atomic number. Fluorine is most electronegative element. Bond dissociation energy of halogens follows the order I2F2 Br2Cl2. Okay, and that is because of the size. Low bond dissociation energy of fluorine is due to the more repulsion between the lone pair of electrons on the two small fluorines, which I have told you because of the size. They exist as the diatomic covalent bond. The only type of attraction between the halogen molecules is the van der Waals forces. Fluorine, chlorine are gases, bromine is liquid and iodine is solid at room temperature. So fluorine is, this is important. Sometimes they can ask, fluorine is yellow, Cl2 is greenish yellow, Br2 is red brown, I2 is violet. These colors we have done in the practical chemistry also. Okay, so fluorine and chlorine reacts with water, but bromine and iodine are sparingly soluble in water and soluble in organic solvents. Chemical properties, fluorine always exhibit a fixed oxidation state of -1, and the reason behind is what? Because it is most electronegative in nature. Chlorine, bromine, iodine show both negative and positive oxidation state. Chlorine, bromine and iodine show -1, +1, +3, +5, +7 oxidation state. Higher oxidation states are due to the presence of the vacant d orbitals. So the higher oxidation states are mainly observed when the halogens are in combination with small and high electronegative fluorine and oxygen atoms. Oxidizing power, halogens are good oxidizing agent. So oxidizing power of any substance is the net result of the several contributing energy factors like the enthalpy change of the reaction, standard electrode potential. So when they are going to react with the hydrogen to give the hydrogen halides, but affinity of hydrogen decreases from fluorine to iodine. Why? Because hydrogen halides dissolve in the water to form the hydrohalic acid. So some of the properties of the hydrogen halides, the acidic strength of these halides varies from HF, HCl, HBr, HI, and the stability of these halides decreases down the group due to decrease in bond dissociation energy. So it is going to be this. These two are important. So just now we have done the order of stability. If you look the order of the stability of the halides, it decreases down the group. And if I talk about acidic strength, it is going to increase down the group. Why? Because the size is increasing, so it is going to give very easily the H plus ion. Reactivity towards oxygen, halogens form many dioxides with oxygen, but most of them are unstable. Sorry, halogens. Fluorine forms two oxides, that is OF2 and O2F2. Only OF2 is thermally stable. And oxygen fluorides, because of high electronegativity of fluorine than the oxygen. So both are strong fluorinating agents over here. Then halogens react with metals to form the metal halides. Bromine reacts with magnesium to form the magnesium bromide. So the ionic character of the halides decreases in the order from fluorine to iodine. And the halides in higher oxidation state will be more covalent than in the lower oxidation state. Okay. Anomalous behavior, again the same reason, because of the small size, highest electronegativity, low FF bond dissociation and no d orbital is present in the fluorine. Most of the reactions of the fluorine are exothermic and it forms only one oxo acid while other forms the number of oxo acids. Hydrogen fluoride is liquid due to strong hydrogen bonding present over here. Coming to the last group, that is your group number 18, which is also called as the inert gases or your noble gases. So they are the helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. So all these are gases and chemically unreactive in the nature, and they form few compounds. Because of this, they are termed as the noble gases. So configuration is NH2 with the exception of the helium, that is 1s2. So atomic radii increases down the group. Ionization, due to stable electronic configuration, they exhibit a very high ionization energy. Reason behind over here is what? That they have the fulfilled octet, but when you are going to moving top to down, it is going to decrease. Noble gases have a stable electronic configuration, so they have no tendency to accept the electrons, have the large positive value of the electron gain enthalpy. Now physical properties, when we are talking about the physical properties of the noble gases are monatomic because basically they are unreactive. They are colorless, tasteless gases. They are sparingly soluble in water. They are going to have a low melting and boiling point because they have only one type of the interatomic interaction in these elements, which is a weak dispersion forces. Helium has the lowest boiling point. It has an unusual property of diffusing through most commonly used laboratory materials like rubber, glass and plastics. So, in general, noble gases are least reactive. They are chemically inert. So, the noble gases except helium have completely filled electronic configuration. They have high ionization enthalpy and more positive gain energy. So, further when they investigated, it is being found that we have the certain compounds of the xenon. Just go through the structures of these xenon compounds. Basically, xenon with the in excess xenon with the fluorine, you get a XCF2. If you are going to have a 1:5 ratio of the xenon and fluorine, we get a XCF4. And if you have a 1:20 ratio, then we are going to get a XCF6. Now, hydrolysis of XCF4 and XCF6 is going to give you a XCO3. Partial hydrolysis is going to give you a XCOF4 and XCO2F2, and XCO3 is colorless, explosive, solid and has a pyramidal molecular structure. So here are the structures of these all compounds. So this was all about your P block elements. Basically, I would say the trends we have to do over here. On the basis of the trends only we are going to have a question, and it is more recommended if you are going to read line by line of your complete P block elements. Okay. Now let's see the type of the question. The first question over here says urea reacts with water to form A, which will decompose to form the B. B when pass through Cu2 plus aqueous. Cu2 plus means copper. Urea means that over there I am having the nitrogen. So it is a question from the nitrogen family. Deep blue color solution C is formed. What is the formula of the C is going to be over here? Now look, when it is saying that a complex is being formed over here and it is of a deep blue color from the nitrogen family, if we are going to look, so what it is going to be over here, it is going to be your Cu, Cu3, CuOH2, that is option C. The correct order of nitrogen compounds in its decreasing order of the oxidation states is what? Now look, just we require to find out the oxidation number over here. Now if you look, it is the elemental form, it is going to be 0. Oxygen I am have the -2, I am going to have the +2 over here. Over here I am having a 1 and over here I am going to have the -6, so I am going to have the +5 over here. Over here if I am going to look, I am having a -1 and I am having a 4 over here, so I am going to have the +3 over here. So what it is saying? It is saying decreasing order of oxidation state over here. Okay, sorry, I wrote +3, it is going to be -3. Okay, so it is going to be what? +5, +2, 0 and -3. So option A is going to be my correct answer over here. Now taking stability factor, which one of the following represents a correct relationship? I told you that thallium trihalide do not exist because of the because of the size. So this is going to be my correct answer. The correct order of atomic radii in the group 13 elements, we have seen that in the case of the gallium, we have the 3 electrons which, d electrons of the gallium which comes over here. So gallium comes before, so option C. Next, match the following. Now look, carbon monoxide is going to be what? Neutral in the nature. Aluminum oxide is going to be what? Amphoteric. Chlorine is going to be acidic and it is going to be basic over here. So simple questions we get in our exam. Next is the boiling point of hydrides of group 16 elements follow the order H2O, H2DE, H2SC, H2S. Statement: on the basis of molecular mass, H2O is expected to have the lower boiling point than the other members of the group. But due to the presence of extensive hydrogen bonding in H2O, it has a higher boiling point. I have told you in the case of the oxygen family, what we was having, that in this particular case, we was having this particular trend. And the reason for the H2O was what? That there is the presence of a hydrogen bonding also. So therefore, my both the statements are correct over here. Among group elements which does not show the -2 oxidation state, that is going to be polonium. Which one of the following arrangement, the given sequence is not strictly according to the properties against it? So if you are going to look over here, then which property is not against it? Increasing pKa value, increasing acidic character, oxidizing acidic strength. So it is one which is not correctly mentioned. Next, acidic strength increases in the order given as HF, HCl, HBr, HI. Yes, as the size of the element fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine increases around the group, the bond strength of HI, HCl, HBr, HI decreases, so the acidic strength increases. Correct. So my both the statements are true over here. Next, noble gases are named because of their inertness towards reactivity. Identify the incorrect statement. Noble gases have a very high melting and boiling points. Noble gases have a weak dispersion forces. Noble gases have a large positive values of the electron gain enthalpy. Then we have noble gases are sparingly soluble in water. So they are having high melting and boiling point. This is incorrect statement over here. So if you look over here, such type of the questions only we get in this. So again I am saying this thing, that practice the DPP which you are going to get along this lecture, the very first thing. Second thing, read your NCERT line by line, take your pencil along you, and whatever the trends I have given, make sure that learn them very properly, because you are going to get questions from there. So this was all about today's lectures about the P block elements. So let's meet in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.